Okay.
Good, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, those who are in East Africa. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are listening from. This is In Truth and in Spirit Well of Worship Fellowship. And today is Monday, the 30th of June. Every Monday we have a fellowship of Q&A. Normally we restrict ourselves to, of course, social spiritual matters. And then we ask questions, and out of those questions, we get discussions, and we are edified. I am your moderator today. I am Isaiah Tumwine White. And today we are looking at the topic which asks, when is sex before or outside marriage? That is our topic. When is it before or outside marriage? Okay, because we know that in many cultures and religions, we are forbidden not to have sex before or even outside marriage. The question though is, when is it sex before and outside marriage? So that is what we are looking at. And the discussion questions as guided by your moderator are, first of all, when is a marriage a marriage? So that we determine the when of the sex. When is marriage marriage? So that we can know that this sex has been conducted outside or even before marriage has become marital in that, in that sense. Then the other question we'll be looking at will be, is marriage a ring, a certificate, or a dowry? So if someone has a ring, does that mean that they are married because they have a ring? They are wedded, for that matter. So when someone has a certificate, does that mean that that is marriage? Does that certificate certify a marriage? Or it can be a certificate that does not certify anything between the two. And of course the rest, dowry, etc. Is sex a consummation of marriage? And if it is, and there are marriages without sex, or a marriage without sex is not marriage, and it is no longer a marriage, it is null and void for that matter. That sounds like another topic altogether, but we want to constrain it within this whole idea of sex outside marriage. When sex is outside marriage, is marriage still marriage for that matter? And then we'll be also looking for another question. What are your personal values, okay, that inspire the decision to have sex before and outside marriage, or not to? Are you not doing it because of your personal values? Are you doing it because of your personal values at the same time? Or you are under some kind of influence of a particular law? It could be a religious law, it could be a cultural law. Why wouldn't you, or why would you have sex before marriage? Then the other question again we would like to think about is, can you afford the emotional cost of physical intimacy without a commitment? Okay, and how does that commitment look like, if there is? Well, when is fornication? When is it fornication, and when is it adultery? When is that sex fornication, and when is it adultery? So when I have sex before marriage, but I'm still going to marry this person, is that fornication? Okay, all right. When in my heart, when I'm married and in my heart I have actually divorced this woman or this man and I sleep with another person, is that adultery? Okay, okay. Is it adultery per the certificate and the ring, or it is adultery per the state of the heart and mind? Well, and finally, we're also asking, what is the will of the Christian God in all this struggle? So that is what we want to look at. We want to look at this whole idea of sex before marriage or sex outside marriage. we want to understand what it means, what it doesn't mean, how we should handle ourselves around this whole idea of sex before marriage and sex outside marriage. What does your belief system say? Is your religion right to say that no sex before marriage? Is your culture right to say no sex before marriage? Well, if time allows you, we can even go to the angle of the problems and the benefits. Are there benefits of having sex before marriage, or there are only problems and consequences of having sex before marriage? And why would we think the way we think about the topic? Well, you're welcome. The modus operandi here, as usual, is you raise your hand. You use those up. You raise your hand, and then we will give you a chance to tell us your view. And in case you have challenges with the technology of Zoom of raising your hand, you switch on your microphone, and then the moderator will be it will be indicated to the moderator that you want to say something, and then we'll go ahead. So who wants to go first? Today I have, I guess, only gentlemen. It's only Mwana wa Yesu that I don't know. But you're welcome. Okay. Anyone who wants to go first on this topic? Hello? Because if you don't raise your hand...
I'm struggling to raise up my hand.
Oh, okay. If you're struggling, then just come and tell us. Mwana wa Yesu, please come.
Thank you very much. It's Peter who looked at me and really discovered that I'm a child of Jesus. So he calls me Mwana wa Yesu, and I love it. Yes, I've switched from a computer to a phone because I wanted some privacy. Now, I don't know where you want me to begin from.
No, start from where you want, where you're free.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to begin by sharing a story.
Okay.
I am a conservative. A conservative. Hey, the word has gone out. A conservative, yeah, thank you. Who believes in purity, virginity, sex before marriage, a bed that must be holy. In Hebrews, to me, refers to people who have gotten married, wedded, or blessed by the family. They have wedded, then they have sex. Now, I have been having that mind until of last month when something profound shocked me, and I've begun questioning. One of my sisters,
yes,
was kept herself, let us use that word, did not engage in sexual activities until she got married at the age of 36. So she was pure. And from a conservative point of view, I would think that she's wholly blessed, everything good now resides in her. Unfortunately, gentlemen, this lady has struggled because by 36, there are things that started developing in her uterus, her womb, her private parts generally. So she could not conceive. They were together with the husband for 7 years. And at 41, 42, the husband dies. Now, the husband has died, but they didn't have a child. The girl has undergone 2 operations. One almost took her life. but she's still not fine.
Oh dear.
So now I remember an article I read about science explaining, and the first thing I did to that article was to rubbish it as a devil sponsored, because this article was saying that if you're to live a healthier life in your adult elderly life, you need to start sex early. And according to this article, sex is not just enjoyment, it is part of normal growth. When you don't have it, abnormality is most likely to rise. And many things were shared there. Like some of the arguments that in that article, I think I've never shared here. The writer was arguing that a woman, let's call her a woman, of 14 years, if she gets pregnant, she has 99% chances of delivering normally, compared to a woman who is 30. So a woman who has conceived for the first time at 30 has higher chances of facing a seizure than a person you'd call a child at 14. Now, those things have begun to make me think differently. Is really sex bad and evil as religion and culture teaches? I think the issue of forbidding, if I can use that word, forbidding sex before marriage, was to promote responsible living, but not that sex is bad. People who are here will tell me cultures that take sex as a food, for example, the Bahima, your cousins, you'll discover that their life expectancy is higher compared to the religious cultures that treat sex as a taboo. You only do it with the person you married. Now, I want you also to look at this. We've been discussing this with Peter. I don't know whether he's online. You realize that when a woman begins to produce children, the interest in sex drops. So if your wife began to produce at 30, for example, if she produces 4 children, by 40, her interest in sex is almost 10%. So by 10% means she'll want you in bed once in a year, or at most twice a year. Yeah, because that's what happens to them naturally. Now, what about the man? Those are some of the things I'm beginning to ask. Now, we go back to the book that Rutembana loves very much, the Bible. And we see people like David enjoying Solomon. In fact, even David at his very old age, they had to look for a younger one, not an old one, a younger one to give him warmth. Now, I'm not giving any definite position now, but I'm trying to raise a question that could it be that we have understood sex wrongly and we need to begin to interrogate. When we say fornication, what exactly are we meaning? When a young boy of senior 2 engages in sexual activity with a girl of senior 1, and they have had fun, and that is it. So why should we call it fornication?
Because it is sex outside marriage and before marriage.
But look here, the younger women who have started sexual activities early seem to live a happier life when they grow compared to these ones who have kept themselves pure.
No, doctor, our religion says that it's not about you being happy, it is about God being happy with you. That's why we forbid you from having sex outside his constraints. That is our position. With
and
the
that's
religion.
why we want to read. That's why we want to ask, is it that God is not happy? Is it true that God is not happy?
Okay.
Because let
Okay.
me share this example. When
Yes.
when you are working in a university like here, and they hear that you're in a relationship with a girl, the way the men can raise in anger, when they themselves know they are doing the same thing, but because they are not caught, for them it is okay. For you has been caught, it's not okay. But don't you think sometimes it is a question of them asking, why is it that you are the one enjoying and not me? And therefore we must deal with you henceforth.
So it is
So
a combination of hypocrisy and jealousy.
yeah, very good. You've gotten it right. And
Okay.
we must here interrogate this subject openly, critically, because I don't think in sex is evil in a way. People who think sex is evil are the ones who think that the forbidden fruit uh, Adam and Eve ate is sex. So when you believe like that, but sex has never been evil. The only thing is that the children need to be taught how responsible they should be. I've learned that these people in America, there is the age when a child is allowed to engage in sexual activities, and it's not a crime. In fact, it becomes a crime when it's an adult now feasting on the young ones. But when the younger ones are
Understood.
enjoying themselves, it's not a crime.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
let
you. Thank
me end there. I'll come back.
Thank you, Dr. Mwana wa Yesu. We are grateful for that enlightenment and quite an education that you've given us. Please, if anyone wants to talk, you raise your hand. But if you don't, I will call you out. Mr. Muyanja, you're welcome. Our resident American. It's good to always have you here. And thank you for making time. By the way, are we in the same time or you struggle with night hours? Mr. Muyanja, what is the time in
Yeah.
your country?
Yeah, now it is 11:30 in the morning.
Oh, okay. That's all right then. Okay then. So we are talking about this whole issue of sex before marriage. Is it the right thing to do, or sex outside marriage? Why shouldn't we do it? Why should we do it? What are the benefits? What are the consequences? We might not come up with a position, but let us discuss this matter squarely. So, Mr.
Okay.
Muyanja,
So you want me to?
I know you never had sex before marriage because you have always been a good boy, not like myself. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I'll make a quick submission on this subject. Hopefully, sorry, I'm just hopped on. But so I don't know what has been discussed earlier, but I'll just jump in on what I can say on this issue. Just as any other guidance that is given in the Bible, okay? There is always a reason, or there was a reason, whether it's medical or spiritual or whatever. But I've come to know that none of this has to do with pleasing God or making God happy. Okay? I've come to understand that the law, and I'll put this as in terms of the law or the guidelines, have to do with the well-being of the individual. Nothing to do with God. God is angry if I do this or that. No. God set up precedents or laws or commands for people to live by such that they are well for themselves. This has nothing to do with God. Okay? Now, once I got to know about that, it became a little easier for me to follow through on the guidance. I'm now keen on the guidance that God has given because I know when I follow it, it's good for me. Now, let's take an example of the subject which is underplay. You remember in the earlier setup of I don't know whether the Jews or Israelites or whatever, in a normal setup, even in our traditional society, kids, we know that biologically, kids, if a child gets pregnant at an early age, they have a very high chance of that pregnancy causing them all problems. Okay? you know, be it it's hard to give labor, or it can even lead to death for a child. They can get tears that will permanently damage their, you know, and they may never have kids in future. So kids had to engage, and you know, the issue, of course, you would only get pregnant once you've engaged in sex. So that they kind of putting a rukomera, you know, a ring around when should someone get married. I mean, when should someone have sex in the confines of marriage? Because that was already eliminating, you know, kind of protecting individuals that definitely by the time this person got married, they are now at home, they are stable, someone is there to take care of them, you know. And so that was that's one of the things that comes to my mind. And so in our normal setup, for example, a kid who is not married is in school studying, okay? A teenager, what are they doing to have sex? Let them study. Reach 18 or 19 when they're out of the study, you know, they've gone.
Mr. Muyanja, you have addressed that issue. Can you now help us with sex before marriage? You know, you're discussing sex before the right age. Are you intimating that before marriage is about age, not about choice and decision?
It is also part of it, okay?
Okay.
Naturally, because we are saying that in our setup now, kids will first have to think about marriage. They first have to go to school, apart from the ones which are in the village. Now, in terms of marriage, okay, let me now address that. Now, in terms of marriage, it is an issue of security and again safety, okay? If for example someone engages in sex outside marriage, okay, there are all these dangers of you know, you're going to have multiple partners, you're going to have disease, and this is going, again, safety of the individual. Now, if you're married, that means you're committed to this one person. You're not going to go outside to, you know, to expose yourself to the dangers that bring the sex outside marriage issues, okay? Whether a jealous guy is gonna come and stab you for, you know, sleeping with his wife or whatever. Now, this means that sex within marriage is more protective, more safe. Now, the people, if you have a girlfriend, okay, and you guys have committed, you love each other, you are of age, okay, you are not yet married, okay, but you have that commitment, okay, then I don't see any reason why you cannot do it. So the issue of it, again, as I said, the scare that God is not happy with me and all these things, they are not. I still look at this as an issue of, are you safe in that relationship? Okay. Can that boyfriend take care of, can they be responsible for that pregnancy? Or they are now going to leave you and you suffer as a lady to raise this kid on your own. So it's all about the safety of trying to keep a sane family and raising a healthy family with a man and woman together in that relationship. Sex outside marriage, you'll have kids having kids outside school, outside marriage, and then they are raised by single parents and all these other things that come in. For me, that's the way I look at it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I like the point which you made there, that first of all, you need to understand that our cultures and perhaps even our religions have protected us in the context of I'm coming in the context of age, in the context of exposure, and our physiologies are not even ready for sex, and even the consequences or the results of sex, so they have protected us. And then I also like the aspect of if you are mature and you're in a relationship, you have your boyfriend or you have your girlfriend, you're all mature, all responsible, all tied up, all truthful, and all honest. There's no reason as to why you don't have you have to penalize yourself of not having sex before marriage. Just have it because you are almost, or actually even married for that matter. And that was really interesting. And then the other point which you made is also, which Dr. Mukwana had made for us earlier, is that God is not having sex. You are not appeasing God. God is already happy. So do whatever you do because it's the right thing to do, not because you want to appease God. God is not angry. He's already happy. He's already That is interesting. Ruthembana, having grown with you ever since we are children, I know that you did not have sex before marriage because you are this purist boy, and throughout your 30 years, you have only slept with one wife in your life, and that is your wife. So, what do you want to tell us?
Okay, me, my question, first of all, is we need to first of all look at nature. When it means that our bodies.
Is it me or his network is squeaking? Gentlemen, help me.
His network is speaking.
His network is terrible.
Okay. Tembana, can you do what you normally do and then come back?
Okay,
Like
it's still poor here.
Okay,
We can
continue.
hear you,
Okay.
I think.
Okay, yes. Now, my concern is on nature. When someone gets into adolescence, my assumption is that that person's body is ready for sex. And okay, let's say if God created us in that way, probably that was a plan. The readiness is the other things of the society and the cultures that we're living in. The readiness is the society that we're living in. That's why you see when in cultures like in Islam, women are still getting married at 15 or even 14 years, because for them, they already have a system where a woman is supposed to be supported by a husband, and probably even they are from rich nations who provide each and everything. Now, when you say that a 15-year-old woman or a 15-year-old boy is not ready, it's so that he's not ready biologically, but that person is not ready on the societal cultural needs. You don't have a house, you don't have a car, you don't have what. So that is the readiness that we're talking about. But if we're to talk about the biological readiness, I think God, when the moment someone enters into adolescence, that person is ready. Now, the person gets ready around 14 or 15, and you have to deny that person for another 14 or 15 years to start engaging into that act of sex because of what the culture is dictating. So that is where the challenge is. And this is really living in denial. Then the other, so me, that is the when you say sex before marriage, sex before what? So me, I think that is where we are, first of all, missing the point. The number two is when you put sex, marriage, then love in the same discussion. Of course, to me these are really different things. Someone can have sex with someone he doesn't love. Someone can have a marriage without sex. Someone can have sex outside marriage. So to me now it comes to they are totally different things. So those ones, talk about marriage, we're talking about a whole different thing about, as we have been discussing, a legal arrangement. Then when we talk about love, we're talking about someone who's probably you're connecting with psychologically and physically.
But that legality is always consummated by the act of sex, at least in all cultures and all convention organizations.
Now that is where that is actually what is wrong, because you see, culture is on the legality. The culture is on the legality, and we know there are some people that are happily married, but probably the marriage is being run by a side chick on the side, but these people are happily married.
Happily married.
Hey, happily
But
married.
Again, in your language, those are again two different things and settings.
And because you see people marry for so many reasons. You want a person that you want to be with, but you may find that your partner is giving you the worst sex if you're to compare with other partners that you're moving around with. but you like this person for marriage. There's a time when someone was discussing that you sometimes you find the person has like a side chick, but the moment the wife dies, they don't even marry the side chick. They marry someone else who suits marriage, who is suitable for marriage, and then the side chick keeps running.
Chick plays maintenance.
Maintenance. So me, I would rather separate the two aspects. So meaning that if someone is married, he can go outside and enjoy that sex that he wants, but then you continue.
Before you go, what we anticipated, we who organized this topic, we are saying that we come from backgrounds that have set marriage as a standard and the legality of sex. So where there is no marriage, sex is illegal because the legality of sex is marriage. And then we're asking ourselves, is that true?
It is not true.
It is not true.
It is not true. Then my last point is self-control. My last point is self-control. That thing of where someone says, I will not have sex until I marry, I will not have sex in my marriage, is something that is all about self-control, and it is a very good practice. Like the things that you can practice, you can say, me, when I'm driving my car, I'll never drive a kataka, I'll never drive a second lane, I'll never do this. So I think these are really, really good things, because you see, that self-control helps us to prevent ourselves from things like diseases. You saw the thing Bob posted about a doctor, a very, very serious doctor. Now just imagine, he could have died because of an extramarital encounter. So the self-control can help you live longer. Because me, that's why I would buy that thing. It helps you live better in a society. Because this the sex things, there's a risk that is attached. Disease.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
So when you desist yourself from them, distance yourself from them, then you're preventing yourself from those risks.
So your suggestion and advice is sex before marriage is an issue of personal values. How do you control yourself? Do you know what you're doing, and do you know how you're doing it and why you're doing it? Okay, fine, brilliant.
Yeah. And then risk management.
Yeah, risk management. If you can manage the risks, then it is all right. You can have sex before, even after marriage.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Isaiah.
Yes, Mr. Muyanja.
Just a quick line. I just wanted to also emphasize. Just say something. For example, there can be two adults. Okay. We know in these current times, the lady is working. She's economically well, and she doesn't want a husband. Really, she doesn't want. But she wants a kid, and she will make an arrangement with a guy who is attractive and tells him, you know what? I just want to have sex with you. You make me pregnant. I'll raise my kid. Go live your life. You know, now these two are not married, you know, but they are mature people and they have known what they want.
But Mr. Muyanja, in the event that we are believers, we have a religion and we have what, is that admissible?
No, this is why I was saying that that confine, okay, is the religion tells you that when you do that, you are not going to go to heaven. God is not happy with you. But that is not the reality. The reality is that came in for your own safety. Now, in this situation which I gave you, everyone is safe. The woman is mature enough. She's earning. The baby will be taken care of. They don't need this person in their life, you know, and they agree with the person that, you know what?
But you see, God said, thou shalt not commit adultery, and the fornicators and the adulterers shall go to hell. That's what our books say. You help us also. Do not leave us outside.
This is what I'm saying, that just as when we were kids, we were told, as I was growing up, we were always told, the women were told, don't sit on that ginger, amasiga in the kitchen. If you sit on it, you will not get married or something like that. Don't cut your nails at night. You will become
It
a
was
night
risk
dancer.
management.
Yes, you will become a night dancer. So we would not, but it was for our own safety. If you cut nails at night, you could cut your finger because you're not seeing. Now,
Okay.
this is the way I look at these laws that they connoted the conditions that were put on these laws. They were just scarecrows. They are just scarecrows to make sure that these people obeyed the law with a condition. But in reality, you remember the Sabbath law? I'm giving an example of the Sabbath law. You will be stoned. Yes, these guys would be stoned. But you know, the Sabbath law was meant to make these people rest, take a rest for their life. But you know, the stoning and killing was just, hey, you must do this because of this condition. So I'm just saying that these things of if you commit adultery, you will go to hell. These were all just to ensure that these people followed the rules. But this had nothing to do with God deciding whether they're going to hell or heaven.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope people will not start praying for you guys and casting demons out of you because you are a little bit brutal. My Ebby, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
You okay?
Indeed, casting out demons.
Because these guys are very demonic. How can they say that that cannot commit adultery was a risk management policy and not something of righteousness before God? Really?
Really?
Okay. Ebi, when you're ready and you want to say something, please let me know because today I want you to be vocal. Ariong, you're welcome, my brother.
Thank you, Sebo.
Yes, we are talking about this issue of sex before marriage, etc. Dr. Mwanawayes, do you want to come back in here, or Ebi, you want to come first?
Let me first ask a question.
Please.
The gentlemen have raised valid and good points, but you asked a question that is very important, and I don't think I've gotten any good clarity on it. You mentioned that some cultures, of course, the Christian culture sees sex before marriage as sinful. And it all derived from the New Testament, of course, because even I think it's Hebrews 13, where it says an undefiled bed, something like that. It's a marital bed. But it's shocking that in the Old Testament, people were allowed to even, as long as you consummate with a woman, that automatically becomes your wife. But the sexual sins and the issues in the Old Testament were more concerned with stealing somebody's wife. Let's say David. There's even a story about Reuben and Jacob. Reuben, the first son, I think, to Jacob.
And his father, and the concubines of his father.
Thank you so much. And the concubines of all those were grave sins. Because they were looking more at I've taken somebody's wife, I'm with somebody's servant, something like that. But with the New Testament is a bit different because it only conforms to one man, one woman. It even says, I think Hebrews, hold on a second. I think Hebrews says that an undefiled bed, the marriage bed is to be kept pure or undefiled, something like that. 13:4. So my question towards this kind of clarity is, if we're looking at the cultural setting in terms of the Christian setting, what basis of the Bible are we relying on, or what testament of the Bible are we relying on? Are we relying on the time the king had Esther? Because I'm imagining how many virgins he first had before he actually had Esther. And then all we are relying on, exactly. And all we are relying on the kingly Jesus, who said, you know what? Supposed to be one man and one woman. Love is patient, love is kind, love is this. So that's a clarity I seek.
Yeah, What's wrong with having sex before marriage with one woman and one man? Is there any problem?
Culturally, as a Christian, we've been told,
Yes,
the
yes.
preachings have been sent out. You should not fornicate. Actually, there are even
Yes.
some
I've been telling you.
scripture says that the fornicators, adulterers. If you look at most scripture in the New Testament, it's fornicators, adulterers, liars, fornicators, adulterers, liars. Those three, and the hands that rush to do evil. Those four are continuously repeated. It's just that there is no backing. There is no backing on scripture in regards to a woman and a man having sex before marriage. That it's okay. You can have sex before marriage, and then you go and live together, something like that. And so the backing of scripture is not there. So if it's not there, what Christian backing can I say, or what cultural backing can we have to actually condone the act of actually having sex before marriage without even feeling guilty? Because there are people who really feel guilty, and after the night, like, how did it happen? How does it happen? And the scripture of repent your sins to one another. Then we start repenting our sins to one another.
Every morning you repent.
Yes.
Night,
I'm repenting. Exactly. Exactly my point. So that is the clarity I seek. That is the clarity I seek.
Thank you very much, my Abby. And please stop keeping quiet, because you're very inspirational when you start speaking. Not because I'm in love with you. And you know very well that we might even have sex before marriage, but unless if this meeting advises otherwise. Dr. Mufaya. Dr. Mukwana, today you are the resident theologian. That does not mean that others are not theologians, they are, but I want you to take lead, and please, now you help Christian believers or religious believers, and either soothe their conscience or actually establish their fear. Because you can justify sex before marriage maybe in the Old Testament, but you cannot justify sex before marriage in the New Testament. Should we be selective about these testaments? Where is the rationale that a Bible believer can have sex before marriage, for that matter? Is there a rationale or it isn't? Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you so much, Priest, for this opportunity. I want to share again. Recently, I was in a very difficult situation. I was in the seat that was supposed to expel my friend.
Sorry.
And I told my brother Peter that it hurt me, it bothered me, because I am the deputy, or rather the vice chairperson board, and I was the one present. And my friend was caught in a relationship.
And you have to be careful, because your boss Rutembana, head of later, is here, so be careful.
So I was called to handle the situation, and I remembered your message, the image, where people care about the image than the people. That message came live on that day, because the director was saying, this is going to tarnish the image of the school. This is a Christian school. The young man pleaded. He asked for even 1 month, but he was not given. He was only given 1 hour to write a report, a handover report, and leave the office. And it was me in charge. And the younger man went. But I kept wondering, when is it sin? Is it when people know that you've done it? Is it when you've done it? Or is it when you feel what you've done is bad? Biblically, we want to look at what is marriage. When is marriage marriage? In the New Testament that we are referring to, the people who are writing about marriage are writing in the light of their culture. Paul, if we look at the wedding at Cana, and Jesus doesn't really go so much into the nitty-gritties. At least one thing we know is when they bring a woman caught committing adultery, he asks the woman, has anyone condemned you? And the woman says, no. And Jesus says, well, go and sin no more, such that something worse does not happen to you. In other words, if you get involved in this thing again, and I will not be there to defend you, then those guys will take your life. So, a very important discussion that was brought up by, I think, Miyanja, is that if a younger girl, Abby, is in a love relationship with a younger boy, Isaiah, that is a marriage. It is not a marriage because they have gone to church. It's not a marriage because whether the parents have accepted or not. A marriage is between the two. Now, if a younger girl, Abby, leaves Isaiah and looks for Tembana, now that is what is going to be called adultery.
Younger girl,
will be betraying the what? The marriage between her and Isaiah. And that is the baseline. But if you say that a marriage bed must be kept pure, which is true, the question is marriage according to who? Who is defining marriage? In my culture, where I come from, once my parents have accepted the girl I want to marry, that is marriage. They expect you to be having sex. If you don't, they'll be shocked. In fact, when you go for introduction, they even give you a letter. But now, when my family moves from my culture to the culture of the born-again church, and then the wife I want to marry is also in that kind of culture, you will fulfill your culture demands. They give you the letter, but tell us, when are you taking this girl? So for them, if one gets pregnant along the way, then you have sinned. That is according to them. What is key is faithfulness to that one person you've chosen, whether you're officially or legally known as married. I want you to remember the story of Joseph and Mary. When Joseph wanted to leave Mary, the Bible, the word it uses is divorce. But they were not married. But Joseph wanted to divorce his wife, Mary. But they were not legally. They were just in a relationship. Meaning that marriage starts the day I tell somebody I love you, and she says, yes, I love you too. The two are already in marriage. So whatever you do there is legal. What is illegal is when you betray this union and begin, like you love this one, then you love the other one. Now that is becoming fornication, which is not, by the way, annoying God per se, but you're annoying yourself.
Exactly.
You're hurting yourself because this sin has consequences. Chair, can I hold on there for now?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. For me, you have ably communicated you have not given us verses. Maybe Abby wanted particular verses in the New Testament, and maybe I have to warn every one of us that the Bible is not prescriptive, but it is descriptive. And what we normally mean by that, Enoch, I will come after Jethro. Let me first finish this. And what we normally mean by this is that you are not going to find everything in the Bible categorically stated with a Bible verse, but you are going to find the principle of what you are looking for in the Word of God. So in what Doctor has just communicated, he has just given you a principle. The spirit of God, or the will of God, is before God. Having sex or not having sex is not as important as the state of your heart and how it relates with your words. So are you having sex with someone you truly love and trust and committed to stay with, regardless of how do they call it? Regardless of these nitty-gritties of have the certificate, pay the dowry, the institutional laws and the legalities. Before the legalities, or even after the legalities, are you truthfully in love and honestly in a relationship with that person you're sleeping with in your house? Regardless of what the certificate says, what the public knows, are you truthful to that person? And are you in love? And are you honestly in love with that? And I think that is what Hebrews means, that the bed is pure. The bed is pure. It's not the bed, the furniture, and the bed sheets. Those ones cannot be pure. It is the heart of those on that bed that purifies the marital bed. So I think, Doctor, you have ably actually helped us in this arena. So let me have the Bishop of Worship Harvest to take us through also.
By the way, Abby is the worship harvest. Did you know? Anyway.
But we have not invited the bishop.
No, I want to start with a funny story. Many years ago, when I was in the SDA church, there was this particular young man who used to go sleep around with all the single ladies in the church. Church meaning that sexual denomination. So he would get this young girl, convince her, and then when he has had this feel ngakuse, he would invite her and say, sister, we have been living in sin. Premarital sex is not good. We should stop this thing. And then the young girl would accept, yes, it's not right. And then the guy would move on to the next victim. Same script. After he has had his feel, he would say, young lady, we are sinning. God is not happy. We should stop. So maybe the girls would fall off willingly and happily. But for him,
the devil is a liar.
For him, he was going around enjoying. Anyway, with that said, I think the issue of sex or even premarital sex is very dangerous. I think the reason we have all these restrictions and barbed wires and chain link around it is because of how dangerous sex is.
It's about risk management.
Yes, we are just managing risk. And I can tell you it is risky to go into marriage with your spouse without testing, if I may use that word. It is also risky to go into marriage.
It is very risky. It is risky, actually.
Yes, it is also risky to go into marriage after you have tested. Either way, it is risky. And I'm, by the way, a Christian. So those who are listening and think this man is I'm a Christian, but I'm just saying I think sex is very, very it has to be handled with care, which is why probably culturally there are all these restrictions. Religion, of course, picked up on some of those, and so on and so forth. But I think there's a time you discussed okwetuka, coming of age. In one of the Sundays, I listened to that audio very carefully. I think coming of age is not just in biology.
No.
So in as much as at 14, 15, a young man can get an erection, a young lady has a period, therefore they are ready for sex. No,
Is that Kwetuka on YouTube?
Yes, I put it there.
People should go and watch that.
Yeah, so for me, it's because of the psychology that comes along with the biology that makes it very complicated. So when you hear all these restrictions and invoking God and I don't know which other laws, it's really just to manage the risks around sex. But so I'm not going to say it is good or bad. I'm just saying it is risky either way, because at the end of it all, you're dealing with information. So information management is what's important. Going into marriage with a lot of information can be a detriment to that marriage, especially when you go there and you don't know what you're finding, what you find there. Because I have a friend, it was actually Linda's friend, not mine, who got married virgin. And then on her honeymoon, she called Linda and said, Kwe! Linda was the maid of honor. Why didn't you tell me this thing was sweet like this? Why didn't you go? All along, this thing has been sweet like this. This is on a honeymoon, Bambi. So
this is what I keep telling Abby. These things are sweet, but she refuses.
She's just laughing. Yeah, so that's where I wanted to start from. That is risky either way. I think, like many people have said, it depends on you, the individual. If you think you're ready, sometimes you don't know you're ready until you actually get in. So if you feel you're ready, please go for it. And you know the consequences, please go for it. And of course, I think the example Dr. Mukwana started with in the very beginning. I mean, why are you stopping a 38-year-old woman from having sex, honestly?
Really?
With fibroids, with infertility, like why? So again, for me, I don't see any reason why. Because at that age, I feel like she can handle the consequences. Hopefully, she's of age yet to see, both in psychology.
If she's not mentally broken.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, that's what I can say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, the longer you take without having sex, it even affects your psychology and your perception and how you look at things. Those people who do not have sex do not think right. Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. Those nuts.
Elaborate on that. Like oxytocin, more confusing. Elaborate on that.
Seriously, there's a connection between how someone perceives and looks at the world and their intelligent levels. There's a connection between that area and their sexual activities and practicality. It affects your psychology and how you look at the world. You have that kind of undetected stress and anxiety and attitude. So there is when you release that whatever we release while we are doing sex, it is healthy for your entire framework of thinking and tissues and body. And those of you who have had sex and have come to Ntiko, okay, and you have come as in CUM, you have seen how your body becomes. That energy, that electricity, etc. Facilitates your mental faculties and how you think. That is why when parents or even administrators were denied last night, there is a way they mistreat us at work. And I hope some of you have been victims to that. So sex is more of a psychological thing than it is a physiological thing. Okay. Please save us from this product of sex before marriage.
He has even switched on his video.
He has even switched on his video because he wants to communicate this whole idea. So, Bob, Mr. Muyanja, this is why you come in before I.
Yes. And I'll be just quick. I wanted to comment on what, first of all, Jethro said. And I want to state that some of the issues why, you know, it is encouraged, the sex before marriage. And again, I'm kind of giving both sides. If you go into a marriage, there are people who say test before you marry. Now, I don't think that is a concept people should run with. Why do they want to test? They want to see on Azara, you know, they're like me before Ngatonanzalia, Sija Kuwasa, because when Tukayonga Tozara. Now,
even the idea itself testing is wrong. Why are you testing? You just do
yes.
it.
So this concept of marriage is about really love. Okay. So if both of you are naive and you go into this marriage, you do not have a reference point. So temugenda kubeera na buzibu. Mwena mugenda kubeera naive, you don't have a reference point. So togenda gamba nti ono tawooma, ono tamanyi bwe bakola mu buliri and all this, because you have a reference point. So your love will thrive without any interference. So abatya, yes. So you go into it and you will really have no reference point. So you will have a happy marriage. Okay. Then others will come nga bazze balwanye entalo zaabwe, you know, they have all this experience. So nafuna ono nga takola kyayagala oli kye yamukolera. So then they end up doing extramarital sex, and then we've talked about the dangers of that. So either way, if you want to say that, you know, you want to go into this thing, you know, you've kept yourself well and good for you, you will not have a reference point. The most important thing is that you love each other. Now, if you have come with all this experience, no sanga ngofunya omuntu, ngofunya ate ye tajirina, as long as you love them, you're going to be with them, you're going to accept them for who they are, and maybe you will teach them, you know, you'll find a way of teaching them to do what you want them to do for you to enjoy. Okay. So I just wanted to come in at that at either point you want to come at this thing, love has to be the center. Because let's look at the person who says, I'll first test that you give a kid you can produce, then I'll marry you. Now, if this person produces a kid and then you marry them, and this kid dies for some reason, and then they cannot have another kid anymore, are you going to run away from that marriage?
No.
So anyway, I just want us to focus on all these things. And I just wanted to say that here, for example, in the US, a kid will always tell their parents about their boyfriend or their girlfriend. So the parent knows, the parent knows that my kid, this is their boyfriend. And so these two will have only that partner. And if the kid is to go to get another boyfriend, then there will be a crash. And the parent, no, but that's why here it is very rare to find people in more than one relationship. They have to first break this relationship to start another. That is the validity. We talked about the purity of that bed. So as long as you go outside that relationship, then you break the purity. Then you break the purity. So I just wanted to bring those examples. For me personally, I'll give an example of my personal life. I've been married for 17 years, but I've known my wife for more than 30 years. Okay. I will not say that maybe I married her when we were 13, because that's when I first saw her and we said we love each other and we started dating. But that is when we started making that commitment. And even though I looked at other girls, I kept sex out of it, and this protected me. To give a specific example, one of the girls I was looking at ended up having HIV, and she died after we had just finished senior 6. And all the other guys around me, because they thought everyone who has a girlfriend is doing it, they kept saying, waiting for me to also, the HIV is now multiplying. So I was the talk of the village, if I can use that word. But I knew deep in my heart that I had kept myself pure. I never had sex with that girl, you know? So, and that protected me. This is the protection we are talking about of keeping this thing outside a commitment. Okay. So stay committed to that one person you have. If you want to go out and have sex with another, you have to end this, because that is not marriage. You're communicating, you're unfaithful. So be with your partner, and that will resolve some of these issues. Thank you. That's my submission.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I think you make a very good point for the school of no sex before marriage. We have to understand that the ancients were trying to protect us from the hazards of sex. Sex has got physical problems, and sex has got psychological problems. You'll get attached to someone who just wanted sex, and your psychology and your emotions will be hurt, and you might not even recover. You might even need to go to the rehab. You remember the so-called hysteria. By the hysteria hits all ages. It depends on how someone loves and how they have been committed. Hysteria,
Really? I thought it
yes.
was for teenagers.
No, it hits all ages. It depends on your emotional build, how you are built emotionally. It's going to break you. There are some people who really, really love. There are people who are very loving, like myself. I am a love nigger. So, a bit in love. So, sex has got those psychological problems, which are actually more detrimental even than the physical problems, because it is easier to control the physical problems of sex than to control the psychological problems of sex. It is really that part. So we need to be careful when we're talking about this whole thing. Then the other thing that we need to point out is that this whole thing of when you have sex before marriage, God is angry with you. No, God is not angry with you. I think let's put that out of the way. God is not angry with you because he's not the one who is going to contract HIV. When God said, "Thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not fornicate," he was not protecting his wife. He has no wife to protect that you're going to cheat with. No. And neither was he protecting his body. He doesn't have a body that falls sick with curable and incurable infections. So when God gives you a law, he's giving it for you. So grow up, know what you're doing, and do the right thing. Rutemana, thank you for giving me the information. The other hormone is called the dopamine, the feel-good hormone. And then Ariong has given us reasons, importance of sex. He says that sex brings improved immunity. Then sex helps with stress reduction. Then sex helps with the improved cardiovascular health. Then pain management. And then he lastly says that it even helps with physical exercise. Yes, if you are still young and you are doing sex at that tempo, you can sweat, but there are those even who have sex and not even sweat because they are all aged up. They are just having a cranky. It's called cranky sex. Anyway, now, thank you very much. Who wants to come in? Professor Serubide, you're welcome. We missed you. You've not come on time, but it's good that we have you here. Do you have anything to say? Professor Serubide, before you come, let me have Rutembana, who was here before. Yes, Rutembana.
Yes, me, I just have a question.
Yes.
One, okay, can you control nature
Okay.
with a law or a guideline? Then two, what is the main objective of sex? Is it pleasure or is it for co-creation?
Okay. Thank you. Professor Serubide, you want to start with those questions? If you can hear us.
I was reading Mark chapter 7 this morning. And that's my second book we're reading this year in the New Testament text. And in chapter 7, I came across a passage where Jesus meets Pharisees and scribes and Jews or Judaism, people from the Judaism religion or cult. And they accuse his disciples for not keeping the tradition of washing hands. And in his response, for the first time, I think when you keep on reading texts, always you get some new insights. Jesus says, why do you turn your traditions into commandments of God? I'm trying to paraphrase. And this is what I've discovered. I discovered that there is a commandment of God and there is a tradition or traditions of men. Now, the commandment of God is love. But what we do, because we are also thinking thinking beings in this chaotic world, we create traditions that we think can protect the commandment. And by so doing, we think we are protecting the commandment and therefore promoting the value that the commandment is suggesting. So we need, I think, to understand that traditions of men are not entirely, they're not entirely created out of a bad heart. Because we are in a chaotic environment, we usually create traditions. Here, traditions, I'm using the word traditions to mean cultures and guidelines that can support what we have agreed that it is a value. So there is no law. You cannot just simply law fornication away. You can hardly law divorce away by simply do not. But you can create these laws in order to protect what you have agreed that faithfulness is a virtue, love is a value. Therefore, you create traditions in order to protect, but you can hardly law. You can't law nature unless it's a principle. You can hardly do not, or do. That cannot work that way. Then the second question was about the purpose of sex. To me, the purpose is two-way. For procreation, it is PP, procreation and pleasure. And my reasons are design, designation, argument, form, function, argument. The form of those body parts and the chemicals in the body function for procreation. We have a system of procreation which is inbuilt. We also have a system of pleasure which is inbuilt. Yeah, that's what I think. It's a PP, procreation, pleasure. Not either, not all.
Peter.
Yeah.
Before you go, the majority of the people have sex for pleasure, right?
Okay. Probably because for me, I do that I'm still doing it for pleasure. I'm not yet into.
Because Isaiah, sorry to take why I asked that question, is that if majority of human beings do that for pleasure, then the co-creation comes in, then it means that it probably maybe is the main objective. Now, if it is the main objective, then we don't have to have it restricted on that time. Because if someone is to have sex at 14, his intention is not to have children. His intention is to have fun, and probably is being pushed by.
Rutembana, how about we say, for purposes of clarity, how about we say that the frequency of sex is pleasure, and not the majority of people have sex for that. Let's say that the frequency, because a married couple might have sex in a week, like 4 days, but they are not making babies every day of that. Yes, of that. So it's just the frequency, not the majority of people, so that we come to the conclusion that is all about pleasure.
Yes. Now it is now from that my argument is that now if majority of us are chasing for pleasure coming from that, then we cannot put siengenge, we cannot put restrictions around it, because nature is demanding us to go for that.
But it is your government person that brings the police on each and every concert of musicians. So what is wrong with making sure that bad elements do not interrupt the pleasure? Professor, you want to come back? Rutembana is thinking. Professor, are you there? Yes.
Yeah.
Did you have
Yes.
something? Right? Did you have something else besides the questions that you had to deal with?
The debate was about sex before marriage, and I don't know whether I qualify to comment about marriage.
Yeah, you qualify. You qualify because you have been in marriage, and also you are one of the good boys of iTiS. You did not have sex before marriage, so you really qualify.
Ganda.
Siri muganda wo mukibo oba wafuna sex nga toli mufumbo siri muganda otonesibaako mane mwono ne byammwe.
I first had my intercourse at the age of 29. And the reasons were mainly three. Number one, I did not want to go to hell because I had been taught that God would burn me in hell if I had sex before marriage. So I tried to refrain from that so that I avoid going to hell. I feared fire. The number two, disease. Disease was terrible. Was another fear of mine. And then number three is the social prestige. My parents, I never wanted to bring shame to my parents. That is one of the things. And then number two, I never wanted to impregnate somebody I thought I loved without their consent or without allowing it. So those are the factors that I had, and that debarred me or deterred me from having intercourse before marriage. Now, whether one should have intercourse before marriage or not, I can hardly say. But I can say that sex and all its surrounding discourse is a mystery. So one time I was listening to Pastor White, I think 9 years ago or 8 years ago, I think around 2017, and he was talking about sex when we were at fellowship. And this is what he had to say. I don't know whether somebody quoted it because I shared with it. I shared this quotation with Pastor Isaac Mukwana. So I told them, I said, one time Pastor White was teaching and he said, sex is a machine gun in the hands of a mad trained machine gun user. In that analogy, he elaborated that God created us and endowed us with all the systems, with all the potential, with all the chemicals, with all the apparatus, psychological apparatus, emotional apparatus, body, physiological apparatus. God created us with all complete and perfect apparatus for sex. And he gave us sex as a pure, as a holy thing. And no sooner had he done that than we fell into the state of sin. So it was a machine gun, well loaded, in the hands of a well-trained madman. So that's the whole picture I remember, and the message I took that day was woe unto us. Woe unto us if that's the state of affairs about sex. I think when God saves us from sin and the other three elements, the wrath of God, eternal death, and so on, this should also be among, because sex has brought paupers to become princes, beggars have become bighorns, housemaids have become wives, wives have become housemaids. You know, non-literate people have got jobs. Literate ones have fallen from jobs because of this thing called sex. So to me, every culture in the past, today, and in the future that finds ways of protecting us, finds ways, appropriate ways of guiding us on how we should handle this weapon now. I think they should be embraced after thinking around it.
Professor, what do you say sex before marriage, therefore? Is it, how should we go about it? What should we tell our children?
I think they should be careful.
Besides scaring them that sex is bad, is that horrible, it is, it revolutionizes the world, etc. Me, I have my girlfriend. Should we have sex or not? Or we should run away from it? Are you saying that celibacy is the way to go? Are we safe in celibacy? Or?
No. I can hardly say whether they shouldn't have sex before marriage or whatsoever, because love or romance, for that matter, is sexy. It is sexy. If they can keep themselves from having sex before marriage, well and good. If they have failed to, then they should find protective means to protect, number one, their heart, and number two, their health. The 2H. So if they can abstain until they say I do, if I do is the symbol of marriage, well and good. But if they cannot, then we should advise them on how to go about it in order to inure themselves, to insulate themselves from hurt, both health hurt and heart hurt. That's what I can say.
Thank you very much. God bless you. Okay, praise God. This is interesting. Abby, do you want to say something, where you, or at least tell us where you are since this conversation? Abby, you there? Yeah, sure.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's fine. I'm still listening in.
Okay, but where are you? I just want to know where you are.
I'm at the point of my Butabani Servide giving me close to the right answers that I actually need to hear. Everyone has been saying what I want to hear, but now Servide has said what I need to hear.
Okay. I think Servide should continue. The Bishop of Worship Harvest. Do you want something? Do you want to say something?
And the choir master of Bishop
Kasiru.
Disease free zone.
You bring back Mwana wa Yesu. He's the resident theologian today. Mwana wa Yesu, I'm not going my time.
We are not looking for theologians. We are looking for bishops. Say something.
For us, we are disease free zone. So where there are no diseases,
Have you collected
you can proceed with your. No. Anyway, what I can say is, again, I think I also liked Peter's conclusion of find means of protecting yourself, not just the body, the physical, but your heart and psychology. I think that's a kind of advice I would give everybody. Yeah, regardless of the age.
Yes.
Yeah. because what you're dealing with is dangerous. So please handle carefully. Handle with care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Doctor, are you still there? 1 hour is. Are you still with us?
Yes, I am here listening to every discussion.
And what have you gathered so far?
Beg your pardon?
What have you gathered so far that or something that you would like to share and take us a little bit
Yeah, thank you. The challenge we have with the law those that conform to the law is that when they keep it, they think they are more perfect, they are purer, and those who don't are evil. But you know, these days I want to move away from theory. I want to go to practice. I want everyone to take an opportunity and look at that village girl who has slept with I don't know how many men, and everybody know. Those girls, when they get married, they settle, they have a happy family, compared to those pure ones who have kept their legs tight. This I've seen in my village. I don't know about your village. But if you pay a keen interest, you discover that those jumpy girls, even in school, become more successful, get married to very responsible men, and they settle. Then these ones who kept themselves, because they don't know those legs are for spreading, when they get married, they want to still they want to continue keeping their legs. Okay. So when they get married, they close their legs. The man has no option but to betray the covenant and bring in sicknesses. And you all suffer. You who has closed and the one who has sought for refuge somewhere else. And then, Chair, whenever your body feels like it needs sex, it is not for pleasure, as Peter has said. You may think it is for pleasure, but it is for normal body growth. Sex is one of the things that God gave to man to refresh psychologically, to strengthen their immunity, like Oida Opio said. And to, you know, if everyone here, if you're honest, whenever you have good sex, even your mood changes. My brother Peter, whenever he has had good sex, I will know, because he will start smiling at the gate. And if he has come with anything, he will share. He will share everything he has done. But if you, and Peter, you must have realized that even all of us, when we are stressed and we've not had it, even whatever we buy, we want to eat selfishly. We don't even remember to share. Even the conversations are hard. So people should not joke with sex. When I was a teacher, I remember when I'd just gotten married, whenever my wife denied me, children would suffer. I would cane children. I would be easily irritable. I had not known the cause. But whenever she would make the thing, mom, I would be the teacher's darling in the school. So I want people to remove that thinking that sex is bad, is evil. So if you keep yourself, you are holy. No, in fact, you keep yourself at your own peril. Allah, whenever your body tells you you need sex, you need it. Please have it. You're saving yourself from so many medical, psychological, by the way, even economical. The ladies who are here, if you want your man to make money, give him sex. A man who has good sex will even bring in more money. Yes, there is a way the mind will think you want to buy for her this, you want to do this. But whenever he's stressed, Oh my God. Oh my God. So sex is not sin. If you misuse it, that is at your own peril. But you should not misuse it. Use it. Enjoy it. Be happy. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, okay, brilliant. We have 5 minutes before we leave this place. I would like to thank each and every one of you, but before we go, I am going to invite my senior brother. I don't know whether Ryong is in position to talk, but to share with us what he has gathered so far. And fortunately, he's a parent of many girls and many boys. I don't know what he will be telling them. Arion, what will you be telling these boys and girls? Arion, can you talk? Hey, I don't know if they can hear me. But as Arion comes, let's start with the parting shots now. Mr. Muyanja, you want to go first?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So for me, as I said, find someone you love, and be sure they love you back. Enjoy sex with them. Okay. Because that is where the union starts. That's where commitment starts. The laws come in to protect you from abayaye, abakwabuzi, you know. So because not when someone will come and for them just want to test you, just want to kwabula you, and they move on and they leave you with all the renewable. Okay, so be careful. I think Mr. Selvide put it right. You know, protect yourself in that relationship. Think about yourself. Please remember, this has nothing to do with pleasing or making God sad, but it's about you. Okay, the law of there's both the law in the Bible, but there's also the law in the land. Olokubanga, your body wants to have sex, and you've seen a 16-year-old girl smiling at you, and you've had this discussion, and you said you go ahead and have it. You are breaking the law of the land. Okay, so do
and you will
whatever you
not say
do.
that Dr. Mukwana advised us to do so.
Yes. Yes. So please follow the law of the land. Find someone you love, and do things. Have sex in a safer way, in a way that protects you as an individual, such that there are no regrets about it. That is all I can say.
Exactly. Omchwezi Rutembana.
Me, I still say that it's all about how you control yourself. But otherwise, if you can't, then you just enjoy.
Brilliant. Well, let me have Professor Selvide, are you there?
The ones who come smiling to office.
Yeah. Mark chapter 7 says, the heart, from within the heart cometh what defileth man. But in Jeremiah, I think chapter 17 or chapter 10, it says the heart is deceitful beyond cure. Who can cure it? And then Jeremiah gives a conclusion immediately. It is only the Lord. So how I pray that the God who created and saved us, who is our Lord and Father and Mother, should also save us, heal our hearts, so that when we decide to pick those with whom we want to have sex for the rest of our lives with, we stick. And to them we stick, I pray.
Okay. We'll have the AB. That's where you come in.
I thank the gentlemen for a very good discussion. It's actually been illuminating. One side, they are permitting some of us to go an extra mile. The other side, my only son, Selvide, the good one, is actually teaching me to keep safe. But thank you. It's been enlightening. And I hope we have such discussions over, because they help us in one way or the other in terms of conviction. Good night, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Bishop, disease free?
Yes, tulina okuyamba. Oh, there's a different bishop, sorry.
Gwe gye mubeera mulwala. Tuyise bishop disease free.
First of all, this is the only conversation my mother Abby can participate in without saying I'm driving. So
You are attacking.
But as I finish, as I finish, I'm just going to use those words that are normally written on boxes.
Yeah.
Fragile goods, handle with care. So for me, sex is a fragile good, handle with care.
Interesting. That is an interesting commendation. Fragile goods, handle with care. Now, Reverend, the most honorable Reverend, that's where now you give us the closing remark, and then we shut down.
Yeah, thank you very much. One of the things that we should guard is the fixation. Now, the young man, I fired, a friend of mine that I fired, is one of those that had kept himself pure and would brag about it, and he shouted about it on pulpits. But he's a senior pastor in the church. But let me tell you what, if I can share the messages he was talking to the girl of senior 4, you would see a small boy. This guy is married, he has 3 children, he's a senior pastor, but the age caught up with him. When people are fixated, I don't know whether Peter is fixated, because for him he started at 28. I'm not sure, but for him I think he has been able to, but I don't know. Fixation, we should guard against fixation, because when a pure Selvide explores sex, he goes back to the teenage age.
I'm not necessarily pure. I'm not pure at all. Very impure. Very impure.
Reverend, is that all?
Yes, kyembadde ngamba nti tulina okuyamba abantu bakitegeere nti bali kwekuuma, naye it will catch up with them and it will be very dangerous and destructive.
Yes. Obulamu tebubalika. Thank you very much. You've been a very good audience. We want to thank God. We have failed to connect to Ariom, but maybe next time. It's a blessing, and we want to thank my very own Abby for suggesting this topic. And we actually ask all of you to keep suggesting topics for us. We are a very bold fellowship. We talk about just anything because we want to learn and unlearn a number of things. We'll be back here the next Thursday. Please exercise managing time, and we continue and share these conversations. Call friends who are like you, who can bear our radicalism, and participate in such conversations, because we think these are the conversations that the world needs. May God bless you until we see you next Thursday. Bye.
Amen.